The Money in the Bank ladder match stands as one of WWE's most significant stipulations, and while the match and the event itself have changed and evolved throughout the years, one thing that's remained the same is the effect it's had on whoever holds that briefcase. And with Money in the Bank 2023 right around the corner, the question on everyone's mind is who's going to walk out of London with that briefcase in hand and henceforth be known as Mr. Money in the Bank. A lot of choices here. Could be LA Knight, it could be Shinsuke Nakamura, hell, it could even be Damian Priest. But I'm going to tell you why it will be Logan Paul. And before any of you click out, just hold on, watch the rest of this video, and decide for yourselves. Let me know in the comments section. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Logan Paul is going to win Money in the Bank. Let's talk about it. So before we start, I do want to clarify one thing. This is not me saying that I want Logan Paul to win Money in the Bank. I know that this is a very controversial issue. I know that Logan Paul is a very controversial character for an assortment of reasons. But I want to be clear here. I don't really want Logan Paul to win, and that doesn't necessarily mean I think it would be bad if he did, but I really do think that at the end of the day, it's a no-brainer from a business standpoint for Logan Paul to win, and that's why I think WWE will go down that route. And if we're being honest with ourselves, you can't ignore the fact that Logan Paul winning Mr. Money in the Bank or winning the Money in the Bank briefcase would be big. It would make headlines. It would be big news. It would get a lot of eyeballs on WWE. And remember, WWE at this point, they're not concerned with being perceived as legitimate professional wrestling. They're not concerned with being perceived as a sideshow. What they're concerned with and what their bottom line is views. And that's views on their live TV shows, Raw and SmackDown. That's views on Twitter, views on YouTube, things they can monetize, and different platforms on which they can promote their brand, promote their shows, promote all the different products that they have going out. Because at this point, WWE has turned into a content creator and a licensing juggernaut. That's what they do. That's what they are. And I know there are a lot of professional wrestling fans who don't like the idea of a YouTuber or, a celebrity like Logan Paul having this briefcase and having a guaranteed shot at a WWE championship or a World Heavyweight Championship match. But remember, from a business standpoint, it's WWE's job to make sure they get those eyeballs on their business, on their brand, on their TV show. So they have to do what they have to do. And if you ask me, I understand the criticism of, well, you know what, they did it with David Arquette and all that stuff. The issue with that criticism, though, is, one, David Arquette, adjusted for inflation, is not the same as Logan Paul now. Because Logan Paul, you could argue, has just as big a platform, if not bigger, than WWE as a whole. Logan Paul, as far as the internet goes, as far as podcasting goes, as far as content creation goes, he is his own institution. And the fact that he is willing and the fact that he is so forthcoming and wanting to do business with WWE only helps WWE. Logan Paul gets to say, yeah, I'm doing professional wrestling, and he gets some cred like that, and he gets to talk about stuff like that, which is cool because it's something he wants to do. But for WWE, it's big. For WWE, having a guy like Logan Paul on their TV show means that they are mainstream and they're perceived that way. They're not going to be professional wrestling anymore, and they don't want to be. WWE, again, is a content creator. As a content creator, what's the best way for you to grow your following? What's the best way for you to grow your brand name? What's the best way for you to grow the awareness of your product? It's to do collaborations, and that's what this would be. It would be a collaboration between Logan Paul and WWE. Now, this brings me to my second point, right? The desire to collaborate with Logan Paul. And look, again, controversies and all that stuff aside, the reality is that Logan Paul is the best collaborator that WWE could ask for. And it's not just because he has this big following. It's not just because he wants to do professional wrestling and it's something he's really passionate about and all that. The biggest reason that this is good for WWE is that Logan Paul is legitimately good. And you can cringe all you want at that take, You can say that, oh, well, he's only had a handful of matches. Reality is, in that ring, Logan Paul has put on great performances every single time he's been out there. Doesn't matter who he's wrestling. Doesn't matter the stage he's wrestling on. He has main evented a big-time pay-per-view for WWE against their biggest star in Roman Reigns. And people talked about that match as being one of the best matches that WWE's put on in decades. And it's a testament not only to Roman Reigns and everyone who put on that match behind the scenes, but also Logan Paul. You have to give him his due where it's due. And the reality is, when he gets in that ring, he is just as good as some of the best. I'm not saying he's the PWI, top 15, 20 wrestler of the year, but for every single match he's had, he has blown the expectations out of the water. People want to shit on him. People want to crap on him. People want to say, you can't wrestle, but they can't. Logan Paul shuts them up every single time because in that ring, he is perceived as a legitimate threat every single time he wrestles. And when you have someone like that, who, again, has everything that Logan Paul has as far as the platform and all that, it's very easy, if you ask me from a business standpoint, to make the decision, hell yeah, we'll give you the Money in the Bank briefcase. Hell yeah, we'll make you and build you up into being this looming threat for whoever it is, whether it's Seth Rollins, whether it's Roman Reigns. We'll build you up into being this looming threat for the title holder. And when the moment comes, it's going to be your time to shine. And I think this is where I'm going to lose some people. Look, there's two ways that WWE can book this. And one of them you're going to like. The second one you're not really going to like. Let me go with the first one. The first way to book this would be to put the briefcase on Logan Paul. So Logan Paul would win the Money in the Bank briefcase on the night of the pay-per-view, and it would be this big moment. Of course, everyone would be talking about it online. It would generate a lot of buzz, and WWE would announce that, hey, on Raw on Monday night, Logan Paul will be there, and he will address the WWE Universe in London or wherever they're having the show. So Logan Paul would address them the next day or the 2 days after, whenever it is. He would come out, he would cut this promo, and stepping up right to challenge him and say, hey, you had your show, you had your one night, your 15 minutes of fame, would be L.A. Knight. L.A. Knight comes out. He is like the one person who can do this too, because not a lot of people can talk circles around Logan Paul, because Logan Paul, of course, is a content creator, entertainer. He's been doing this for a long time. But L.A. Knight is the one legitimate guy who you could believe this guy would be able to talk Logan Paul into doing something as dumb as putting his briefcase on the line and, in the end, losing it later that night in the main event. And the reason you would want it in the main event would be because you would want to build up the anticipation. You would want WWE to be spamming, being like, Logan Paul wrestling on Raw. Everyone watch. What that would do is two things. One, you would get so many eyeballs, because Logan Paul would be like, hey, you guys want to watch me wrestle for free? Watch Raw tonight. It would, one, get a lot of eyeballs on the product, but two, when LA Knight wins and when he beats Logan Paul on that night for the Money in the Bank briefcase, everyone would be looking like, oh, who's this LA Knight guy? Who's this guy who beat Logan Paul in the ring in WWE? And it would put a lot of eyeballs on LA Knight, and it would make his holding the Money in the Bank briefcase mean even more, because, again, you guys might not like it. The reality is, there are wrestlers who can get a route from Logan Paul. It's just what the truth is. So for I think a lot of fans, that would be a good compromise, having Paul win it and then lose it later. But what I think will happen, and what I think, like, probably from a business point is the right move, Logan Paul should probably not only win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but Logan Paul should probably cash in and become a world champion. And I will say this, I don't think he should cash in on Roman Reigns. I think Roman Reigns and that story, there's a lot more that's going on there that's interesting without Logan Paul, that I think Logan Paul would really interfere with if he were to just jump into that lane. No, I think if he's going to cash in on anyone, it should be Seth Rollins the man who beat him at WrestleMania, the man who he does have history with, and the current holder of the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So Seth Rollins is the guy, in my opinion, and the challenger for Logan Paul in this situation because of that history, but also because that world title that Seth Rollins has is a new title. You know, it has kind of the shine of big gold title, but it really doesn't, and it's not the same lineage. And if you want to make that belt feel special, if you want to get eyes on that belt, make it feel like a big prize. Look, I know a lot of professional wrestling fans don't like Logan Paul. I've said it like 8 times in this video so far. The fact that that belt could be on one of the most popular podcasts in the world, could be on one of the biggest like platforms in the world, which is like any platform Logan Paul has, and shown around, and Logan Paul could go around and be like, I'm the world champion, and you guys can believe it, because not only am I a real fighter, not only am I a real wrestler, I'm the real champ. Like, there's so much that could be done for that belt and getting eyeballs on WWE. And again, I come back to eyeballs a lot because it really does matter. Like, that's what WWE cares about. That's what drives their bottom line. That's what drives their business. And when you're at a point in WWE where you have, you know, all of these new stakeholders, and you have Ari Emanuel who's coming in with this big merger with the UFC, you want to make sure that your product is not only viable like in the long term, but also successful in the short term, because otherwise there's going to be changes made. And that's one thing that I think a lot of higher ups in WWE want to avoid, and I think a lot of employees want to avoid too. So having Logan Paul win the world championship would probably be a good bet, and I think would be a good way to not ruin, quote unquote, the Roman Reigns situation and the Roman Reigns storyline, but also put some shine on the belt and on the new belt. And I want to qualify all of this by saying I don't necessarily want this to happen, but I'm not against it. And I don't think I'm as against it as a lot of other fans are, because if we're being honest with ourselves, Logan Paul is a very good wrestler. And at the end of the day, what professional wrestling, what sports entertainment, whatever you want to call what WWE does is about entertaining the fans and about good wrestlers having good matches. And for me, I can 100% say Logan Paul will go out there and probably tear it up with whoever he challenges. And it would be good for whoever's in the ring with them, because they would get a big shine and a big rub from being in the ring with Logan Paul. But also, it would be good for WWE, because they would be able to showcase more talent. They would be able to make like more talent better by being in the ring with Logan Paul, because they would get a bigger platform. And I've used that term platform a lot, and it comes back to the idea of getting eyes on the product. So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who disagree, and again, not my opinion, just what I think will happen. But I want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think about Money in the Bank 2023? Who's going to walk away as the new Mr. Money in the Bank? Who is going to cash in on which champion? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't already, do me a big time favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Until next time, be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.